Ooh, do I have some spicy news for you today. So Payday 2, as you recall, was declared dead after the final content drop back in December of 2018. That being the White House DLC, the finale of the story, and Overkill officially abandoning further development of Payday 2. Well, that all changes. Now. Again. Overkill can't make up their goddamn minds. So, for all of you that have the attention span of a housefly, like me, I'll be summarizing the important parts to take away from this particular article. But honestly, if you have the time, I really suggest giving this particular one a read. The last video's article was much more boring. It was basically a plea to investors. But this one? It's almost comedy gold. It's so absurd, it's straightforward, and it seems pretty unprofessional. It's almost like a satire. As I quote my friend, I feel like I'm reading an Onion article. So, to summarize, the CEO of the company basically says, we're broke and we know it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna revive Payday 2 with DLC, both paid and free. Okay, well there's a lot to unpack from that one sentence. First off, whoa, they're gonna revive the development of Payday 2? That means potentially new content. And for all the console boys out there, or girls, that means you might actually get some of the content that you deserve. So in the current article, they spoke nothing of consoles, but from reading a comment, a dev says that they're going to address that in the future. So I can only hope for the best, since basically you've been cucked up to this point. Secondly, the paid and free DLC. Now the CEO says they're breaking a promise by doing DLC again, and that might disappoint some people. Personally, I'm actually more surprised than anything else. Not that they're bringing back paid DLC, but that it took them this long to do so. Back when it was announced that they were having no more paid DLC, I was taking bets with my friends and how long it would take before they go back on their word. It's been a while, but I think we all lost. We all thought it'd be much sooner. So, this is really nothing new to me. Overkill does have a history of going back on their word, and as such, one would be wise to take all that they say with a grain of salt. Now there's a bit more about how they're going to be making the Ultimate Edition go under a different name, the Legacy Edition or something, and they're going to bring back the ability to buy just single DLCs instead of one big package. But that's not really interesting to me. And that about pretty much summarizes the entirety of this article. So there's some big news for all the Payday fans out there. Personally, I have 3 pretty big issues with the direction that this is going. First off, Payday is still the same game that it was all those years ago. And that means that essentially they're working with the god-awful diesel engine. You know, the one that's buggy as hell, can't be optimized at all, the one that seems to crash all the time? Yeah, they're adding updates to that. Like I said in the previous video, in the past, Payday was a good game. For the time. Now though, it's 2019. It's almost 2020. I don't want to touch that game engine with a 20-foot stick. It runs like ass, it feels like ass, and I don't think the devs can make it any better. Not really blaming them, it's just I don't think anyone can make that game engine work. Secondly, I have the general concern for the quality of the content. Barring the White House and the final DLC, basically most of the stuff up to that point was phoned in. You know, for years we got maps that weren't very interesting, they didn't add any new or interesting mechanics, nearly all the weapons that they did add were just reskins of existing stuff, and they pretty much screwed up the difficulty so that half of them felt the same, and things like build variety and weapon variety, they were pretty much squashed. I mean, you know you've lost creativity when you think combining a medic and a bulldozer is a good idea for a new enemy. They also have this preview here for the next DLC, which is coming surprisingly soon, it says November. The screenshots, they honestly look like something a modder made. That doesn't bode well with me, but I'll reserve judgment for when it actually comes out. Third and lastly, God, I can't believe that I'm saying this, but any new addition is either gonna mess up the story or completely ignore it. Yeah, you heard me right, the story that Overkill couldn't be asked to care about until the very end. But man, even if they did ignore it for years and they teased us with tidbits that went nowhere, it ended on a fucking high note. In fact, that's most of Payday. The White House, the secret, ending the story, the final cutscenes and everything. It was a bit absurd, yeah, but it was a fun and wild ride. And it ended well. Now, I'm afraid they're gonna fuck it all up. Honestly, it'd be best if they just kind of ignored the story entirely going forward. But all in all, the majority of this though, It's fairly good news, even if things go down the drain. And they can't fuck it up worse than they already have, right? The only thing I really want to say is I just ask of the fans, don't be sheep. Don't just buy into everything they sell you and believe everything they say. Right now, the most important vote is with your wallet. They need that money. But even if they're making a comeback, paying for stupid shit or more microtransactions is just gonna feed into a worse product. And then the future product being Payday 3. I have a multitude of concerns based off the YouTube comments and Discord messages you guys have sent me. Hell, someone even sent me an email about the news. You guys will never let me off from this shit, will you? But, yeah. Am I excited? Well, let me put it this way. You, the fans, have not given me a choice to my own emotion for years now.